Hi guys, it's Alyssa and welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing a meal prep video, but it's just going to be for breakfast items. So I have a handful of items I want to make today. I don't have a lot of time, so let's see how much I can get done today. I usually try to prep some breakfast items to put into my freezer to make my life easier each morning for breakfast for my girls. I'm running out of items, and so I'm kind of losing steam, I guess you could say, in the morning of what to make my girls. So I need to kind of help myself out and make some new items for them that I think that they will enjoy, and then also that my husband and I can eat as well. I've already lined up a lot of my ingredients right here. I'm gonna start with pumpkin waffles and my sourdough discard pancakes. So I'm gonna make both of the batches for each of those, so then I can kind of go back and forth with cooking them. So the pancakes will be on my stovetop, and of course the waffles will be in my waffle cooker. So to get this going and get it done quickly, I thought, okay, I'm going to do them at the same time, so hopefully that'll speed things up. So the first recipe I'm gonna start with is gonna be the sourdough discard pancakes. I made this before, it's delicious, it's so easy to make, and they always come out so fluffy but still chewy. They're delicious. My 6-year-old loves them so much that when I say, do you want pancakes for breakfast? And she'll say, are they mama's pancakes? And if I say no, she doesn't want them. But if I say that they are, she always will say yes, and she loves them. Even my 2-year-old does as well. So I'm gonna get everything mixed up and then get my pumpkin waffles started after this. So I'll link the recipe down below that I used for this. So I'm just gonna make one batch of this to put into my freezer. It says it'll make 12 pancakes. I would like to make 2 batches, but I don't know if I have enough sourdough discard. It says it's gonna need 1 cup of sourdough discard, and I don't have enough for that. So that's fine, I'll just make 1 batch. So I think I'm gonna do smaller pancakes, so I'll get more than 12 individual pancakes. Since these will mostly be for my girls in the morning throughout the week, they're not gonna eat, you know, huge pancakes, so I can kind of stretch this recipe. So I'm just mixing up the dry ingredients, and then I'm gonna add in my wet ingredients, and it'll be ready to go. So I had a perfect amount of sourdough discard for this. It came out to 1 cup, which is perfect, exactly what I needed for this batch. So I'm just gonna get this added into my dry ingredients. So one of my favorite recipes to make with my sourdough discard is pancakes, because it's just so easy. They're so good. The sourdough discard, if you don't know sourdough, it's not bad. It's just what you're supposed to pretty much toss when you feed your starter. But I never toss it because it's a waste, and it can be added into so many different recipes, and it makes it so good. I always keep my sourdough discard in a jar in my fridge. And then when I have a good amount, then I will bake with it. Okay, so I don't want to overmix it. That's done. I'm gonna set this off to the side, and then I'm gonna make my pumpkin waffles. Okay, so for my pumpkin waffles, I'm not using sourdough discard, obviously. I mean, I've already ran out of it. But I'm going to add all of my dry ingredients to the bowl, and then just like the pancakes, I'm gonna mix in my wet ingredients. So I need a handful of spices that I'm gonna put into my pumpkin waffles. So I'm gonna do some ground cinnamon, and then I'm gonna do some pumpkin spice. I'm also gonna do a little bit of brown ginger and a little bit of nutmeg. So first I'm gonna add in some ground cinnamon. I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons of this. I'm going to do 1 teaspoon of ground ginger. And then I'm gonna just do just like a half a teaspoon of the pumpkin spice. Since I'll be adding in pumpkin, it's gonna already have a lot of pumpkin flavor. And then I'm gonna just do probably another half a teaspoon of some nutmeg. Maybe a little less, just a pinch. And then I need some salt. So I'm gonna do just a half a teaspoon of salt. And I'm just gonna mix this all up, get it all incorporated, and then I'm gonna add in my wet ingredients now. Okay. I need to melt a 1/4 cup of butter, so I'm just gonna get my little pot here. I'm gonna get this on my stove top. Melt it. Okay, so I got my 1/4 cup of butter melted. I'm just gonna add this in and then I'm done, and I can get these started as well as get my pancakes cooking. Okay, so let's just move over to the other part of my kitchen, to my stovetop, and get everything cooking. Okay, so I got my griddle on top of my stovetop, and now I'm just gonna spray it with some cooking spray. It's starting to heat up now. So I'm just using a 1/3 cup measuring cup for my pancakes. Like I said earlier, I'm doing a little bit smaller than traditional pancakes, so I can spread this out a little bit more. Since these are mostly gonna be for my girls, I can do smaller pancakes for them. Okay, so the 1/3 cup measuring cup makes actually bigger than I was anticipating. I always forget what size measuring cup I use when I make pancakes. I'm actually gonna do the next batch with a 1/4 cup. So I'm cooking these for about, I don't know, 2-ish minutes until they kind of start bubbling, and then I'm gonna flip them and cook them on the other side. Okay, so those have been cooking on the other side for about 2-ish minutes. They've come out so perfect, nice golden brown. So I'm just gonna get these on the plate to get them to cool. Okay, so while my pancakes are cooking over here, I'm gonna get my pumpkin waffles going. So I'm just gonna spray it with some cooking spray. And I'm like, gonna let that cook while I go over and flip my pancakes. Okay, so this batch I did a 1/4 cup measuring cup, and they're still pretty large, but that's all right. These will be perfect. So it's been a couple minutes. I just checked on the pumpkin waffle and it looks so good. It smells so good. Yeah, that looks like it's just about done. So I just pulled off my second batch of pancakes, but look at this. They're so thick and they're fluffy in the center. They got like a nice little crust on them. These are so good. All right. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull off this waffle. Oh, that looks so good. fluffy. It's got a little bit of a crust on the outside of it, and it smells just like fall. All right, so there's that one. I'm gonna get my second one going. Do a little extra spray. Don't want anything to stick. I'm gonna do a little bit more so I can kind of get a full waffle this round. All right, so this waffle is done. Perfect looking, crispy on the outside and fluffy. Smells so good. Have you guys ever had waffles and made them with egg whites, where you fluff up your egg whites and then fold them into the waffle mixture? They always come out the best. I know I didn't do it this round. I didn't have time. I'm trying to do this quickly. These will still be delicious, but I totally recommend doing egg whites, fluffing them up, and then folding them into your waffle mixture. They're delicious. So this is the last of the pancake. So when I make my pancakes, sometimes I do put in like a filling into them, like chocolate chips or blueberries, but that's usually like the day of when we're gonna eat them. When I make a big bulk to freeze, I'll keep them plain. So this way I don't have like a bunch of frozen pancakes with chocolate chips in them or just blueberries. I know I can mix it up and do different fillings when I'm freezing them, but this way I keep them plain, it keeps it easy. And then when I serve them, I can switch up what I want to put on them. So sometimes I'll do mini chocolate chips, sometimes I'll top them with blueberries, sometimes I put little sprinkles on them to make them fun for my girls, so I can kind of choose what I want to serve them with. So right now I have some breakfast items in my freezer that I had meal prepped. I did a meal prep video of just some dinners and some breakfast items. I can link that above to share it with you. So I kind of have my freezer somewhat stocked. That's more for my husband, although my 6-year-old does like my breakfast sandwiches, and my 6-year-old and my 2-year-old love my homemade bagels. And so I do serve those to them, but this will just now be in addition to that and will be so great. So I know it can be a lot of work to do all of this. Sometimes it can take a day or two to make a bunch of different items. This will probably take me just a couple hours to do these breakfast items, but it's the best knowing when you wake up and you have whining kids or you're starving, whichever, knowing you have already delicious items ready to go in your freezer that are homemade is the best feeling. All right, so I'm still cooking my waffles. Pancakes are done. I think I'm going to lay these all out individually onto like a cooling rack so they can cool completely. So I don't want these to be warm at all when I pop them in my freezer and put them in the bags, because then that's just asking for them to freeze completely together and be too difficult to pull apart when they're frozen. So I'm gonna get these out onto a rack to cool. I'm gonna finish cooking my waffles and get those done. Then I'm also gonna get these onto a rack to let them cool as well. Okay, so here's all of the waffles I got. I don't want to freeze them whole like this because these are mostly going to be for my 2 kids, so they're not going to eat these entire things. So I'm actually just going to cut these up into 4s and then let them cool and freeze them that way. Okay, so I have the waffles and pancakes cooling on the racks behind me. I'm gonna get started on the mini crumble blueberry muffins that I wanna make. I actually have to get my girls' lunch ready, so I wanna get these in the oven before I get started on that. So let's hurry up and get this done. All right, so this recipe I'm following for these muffins says to mix the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients separately and then fold in the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. I don't really want to do that. I don't have time for that. I'm just gonna put everything in the bowl and mix it all up gently, and I'm sure it'll be fine. So you can do it whichever way you want if you decide to make these, but I think it'll be okay. I've got my oven preheating to 350 degrees. I'm gonna spray these really well. And then I'm just gonna use a cookie scoop to fill these muffins with. Okay, so I'm gonna make up the streusel topping to go onto my mini blueberry muffins. So I'm just gonna mix up a little bit of flour, about just a little more than a quarter cup of flour. And then I'm also going to do a little more than a quarter cup of brown sugar. And then I'm gonna just dump in a couple tablespoons of some melted butter. And then I'm gonna just mix this up and top these onto the blueberry muffins. I love a streusel topping on any muffin really, so I think these are gonna be really good. Oh, before I forget, I actually wanna add in a little bit of cinnamon. I don't know, half a teaspoon or so as well. A little bit of a spice flavor to it. I think that'll be good. Okay, so I got the streusel topping onto my muffins. Now these are gonna go into my oven. It's done preheating for about 11 to 12 minutes. I'm just gonna keep an eye on them. All right, so the first batch of the blueberry muffins is done. So these are gonna cool on the rack. I'm going to fill up the pan again and get those into the oven. Okay, so the last batch actually cooked for about 15, 16 minutes. So I'm gonna get these in for that time. All right, so the next recipe I'm moving on to is gonna be granola bars. So I'm gonna measure out my oats and I'm gonna actually toast these in the oven before I make my granola bars. All right, so I'm just gonna toast these for about 8 minutes in my 350-degree oven. So while my oats are toasting in the oven, I'm gonna mix up the mixture that I'm gonna add into the oats on top of my stovetop and melt that down and let it kind of boil up for about a minute or so until the sugar, I'm gonna put brown sugar in until it completely dissolves. So I'm just gonna add in some honey and then a little bit of maple syrup. I'm also gonna add in a 1/3 cup of brown sugar and a 1/4 cup of butter. So I want the butter to melt down completely, the sugar to dissolve, and let it boil for just a minute or so. And you want to make sure to stir this constantly. Okay, so my oats are done toasting. I got my mixture cooked up on the stovetop, so now I'm just gonna mix everything into a bowl before I put it into the pan. Okay, so now I'm just gonna add these into my bowl. So now to this mixture, I'm gonna add in just a little bit of vanilla. And a pinch of salt. I'm gonna mix that up. I'm going to add in I'm kind of just going with things I have in my pantry. So I'm gonna mix in just a little bit of this coconut flakes. It's sweetened, just a little bit. And then I'm gonna mix in some of these dried berries and golden raisins. So I'm gonna mix this up. I'm not gonna add in my chocolate. I have mini chocolate chips over here. I'm not gonna add those in just yet because everything's still pretty hot and it'll just melt. I'm just gonna dump these in. I've had this bag of these berries and golden raisins for a while now, and I'm glad I found something to use them up with. Okay, so I have my oats here. They're still very hot. I've added in everything but the chocolate, like I said. I'm gonna let it cool for about 15 minutes and I'm gonna get started on my Danishes that I wanna make while this cools. Okay, so the last recipe I want to try to make is something new and different. I've never done this before, so we'll see how they turn out. But I love cheese Danishes. I thought that would be a great item to keep in my freezer. I think my girls will love them. So I'm gonna kind of cheat. I saw something online, so I'm gonna kind of copy it, but do my own little version of it, I guess. So I'm going to cheat and use these puff pastry sheets. And then I'm gonna make up a sweetened cream cheese mixture, and then I think I might dice up some strawberries. I thought about doing jam, but I think I'm gonna go with just fresh strawberries, put that on top of the cream cheese, and then bake that off. And then when I go to make them, I'll pop them in the freezer, and then when I go to make them the day of, I'll just take them out, put them in the microwave, maybe on like 50% power, and let them defrost and cook up a little bit, and then I'll drizzle them with a little bit of icing, or I'll just serve them by themselves. And I can serve them with eggs and some fruit or something for my girls, or some sausage and fruit. So I think it'll be a nice little treat for a breakfast option for my family. So let's get started on these. Fingers crossed they turn out good. Okay, so there's 2 sheets in this box. I'm going to lay out one onto this pan, and I'll do another one onto another pan. I think I'm actually gonna lay out some parchment paper on top of the pan. So I've had these sitting out defrosting because these were in my freezer, and so they're pretty defrosted now, so they're easier to work with. So I'm just cutting out these Danishes, and then I'm cutting a little square in the center. This is what I'm gonna put the cream cheese on top of, and then I'll put some strawberries on top of that, so it kind of stays within the center of the cheese Danish. Okay, so that is all done on my 2 pans. Now I'm just gonna put the cream cheese into the center of that. So I'm just gonna put actually some fresh strawberries on just one of these, and then I'm gonna leave the other ones plain. Okay, so these are done. I'm just gonna get these in my oven. It's set at 350 degrees, and I'm gonna bake these for about 12 minutes to start, and then I'll bake them a little longer if needed. Okay, so I'm gonna put the granola bars in this pan. I'm just gonna spray it really well. You could do foil, you can do parchment paper if you'd like. I think if I put enough spray in this, it'll pop out of it. And now this has been cooling for about 15 minutes or so. I'm gonna add in some mini chocolate chips. Now I'm just gonna push this into the pan and I'm gonna let this chill for a couple hours before I even cut these. I'm also gonna sprinkle just a little bit more chocolate chips right on top and I'm gonna push these down into the bars. Okay, so I'm gonna get these in my fridge now to set up. Okay, so my granola bars have been sitting in the fridge actually for quite a few hours now. I finished everything earlier and then I had to leave to take my oldest daughter to Girl Scouts and then another class. So we just got home. So I'm gonna cut these up so I can get these into a Ziploc bag and finish everything off. All right, perfect. So we got some awesome looking granola bars for snacks and then even breakfast in the morning on the go. So I'm gonna get these into a Ziploc bag and get everything put away now. Alright guys, so I finished everything. I'm very happy with what I got done today. It's actually dinner time now, but I did finish these earlier today. I just left them sitting out on my island here to cool completely before I get them into the bags and into the freezer. So I had actually left a little earlier to take my daughter to Girl Scouts and then another class. It was a very busy day, but I'm glad I got to fit this in and get my freezer stocked for some breakfast items for my family. So I can't wait to try some of these recipes. I mean, some I've had before, but like these cheese Danishes, they smell so good and they actually turned out really good. I'm really happy with them. So I can't wait to have those. My girls already requested the pumpkin waffles for tomorrow morning, so I will leave out some of those for them. I'll leave all of the recipes, some of the ones I followed down below, and I'll write up some of the ones that I kind of just made up on a whim. So if you make any of these, I hope you enjoy them. And I just wanted to say thank you for being here. I really appreciate you watching this video. And if you're new here, I would love to have you. So make sure to subscribe down below and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.